it's Jason.
Hi, I'm Jason.
And Jason and I are going to tell you how we felt about Jurassic World Dominion. Jason and I
Ooh.
are broadcasting right now from my phone which is why there's messages coming in that I have to get rid of. We are on the road. We're out of town. We're not on the road. We're in a cabin right now, actually, which is super cool and cozy. But Jason and I wish the lighting over here was a little better. Maybe we should have turned on some lights, Jason. It's hard to tell what the lighting was going to look like before we started because it's just like the dark.
I
Like,
mean, I can turn on a light.
you want to do that real quick?
Yeah.
Just throw that on.
I'm gonna turn on. If I know how to turn it on.
I'm not sure where it is. Well, we'll be all right regardless.
Oh, it's behind you.
Did you figure it out?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Anyway,
Oh,
there we go.
gosh.
That's much better. There we go.
Okay.
Hi, now you can see us. It's very exciting. You
Yeah.
can see me. Anyway, there it is.
Oh,
Jason and I are out of town right now in Branson, Missouri for a dance competition that Jason's in. Jason had his solo today,
yes.
and he did great, and it was a lot of fun. Last night, good job, Jason.
Yeah.
Jason won awards for that, and last night we went and saw the new Jurassic World movie, which I have been calling Jurassic House 2, and I might find myself continuing to refer to it that way, although I have another potential moniker for it. I've been hearing a lot of people nicknaming it different things, and I think I have a half
Is it
decent
because of
one,
you?
which I'll throw out. I just folks on the channel naming
Yeah.
different things. So yeah, probably because I've been calling the second movie Jurassic House for so long that I sometimes forget what that movie is even called. And then when I remember what it's called, I'm like, that title's stupid. And I'm going to continue calling it Jurassic House. Anyway, Jason and I were both kind of excited about this movie. I don't know if that was warranted or not, but I just couldn't help but be a little jazzed because this is a franchise I like a lot, or at least I love that first movie. We continue to get movies that make me kind of question whether it ever made sense to continue this on as a franchise. I don't know how warranted this ever really was. It's kind of funny that first movie is about, did it really make sense to finally try the theme park idea after Jurassic Park fell apart the way it did? And now we have a franchise that's kind of asking, making me ask the same thing, Jason, where it's like, just because you can do a thing doesn't necessarily mean that you should. People were saying that with Jurassic World, and every subsequent movie, it's more and more been feeling to me like this just didn't ever really have legs. Which doesn't mean that this couldn't have been handled in a better way than it has overall. But anyway, this was I have to say right away, not really the experience that I was I guess hoping for, but maybe the experience that I expected or that I was worried I might have walking out of Jurassic House.
Yeah.
But we'll go ahead and get
I
into
thought
it,
it was
suppose.
gonna be more like Jurassic House. Just maybe better.
Better in what way? Like, were you hoping for the kind of bombasticness and absurdity of that movie, or were you hoping that it would kind of sober up and get a little bit closer to Jurassic Park somehow?
I wanted it to get closer to Jurassic Park and Jurassic World. Like, I don't want it.
But
Like,
did you think there was any chance of that?
no.
Sure.
I don't want. I don't like some movies just don't need sequels. And also especially decades later sequels just don't work. Like even though this was like 4 years after Jurassic House, it still doesn't work because I mean, like Ghostbusters didn't work, Matrix kind of worked. I don't know what the Spider-Man didn't work that well. And yeah, I just don't think and Independence Day did not work. I don't like.
You don't even like that first movie.
Yeah, I don't like decades later sequels.
Just in general.
Just
But
in
you
general.
but you have to admit you were kind of excited going into this. It seemed
Yeah.
like. I mean, we kicked around watching it later in the week, and you were like, "No, I really want to go." So we went ahead and went last night. So when you say you don't like decades later sequels, like why this one?
Because it was like it was like a 4 years later sequel, not a decades later.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Except for the fact that it was also, and it was it wasn't trying to be like that as much as stuff like Ghostbusters and Spider-Man and stuff.
Well, and that second movie plays like it kind of exists just to get us to the status quo for this third movie.
Yeah.
So why don't we go ahead and do our sign flips? We weren't able to bring ins on the trip, or I mean, I guess we could have, but I was a little bit concerned that we would kind of mess them up, so I didn't bring them. But we'll go ahead and tell you how we would flip our signs and give you a best thing, worst thing, and just kind of how we felt right walking out of the theater. We may do a little bit of spoiler talk at the end of this because there's some things I want to talk about that I don't know that we can without giving stuff away in case you haven't seen the movie yet and you're planning on going. But this won't be a full-on spoiler cast. We're not going to talk for a real long time because this is not, of course, the ideal format. Just doing this on our phone, but also. Again, I'm kind of giving away a lot already about where I am with this movie, but I don't know that this warrants a full-blown hour and a half, 2 hour spoiler cast. So at the moment, I'm not planning on doing one. If there was a lot of interest, I guess I could maybe see my mind being changed, but I really don't want to have to go see this again. It's 2.5 hours. I did not have the best time. I really kind of don't want to have to go again.
Yeah.
And because we're out of town all week, I would have to wait and do this next Friday, and I don't know that I can keep this in my head well enough. And honestly, a lot of stuff's kind of escaping my brain right now.
Yeah.
I was real kind of checked out through a lot of this. I'm sorry to say, but Jason, why don't you go ahead and tell us what your feelings were?
So should I just flip our signs for both of us because I know that we both
Kind of
have the
where
same.
yeah, you might as well. Sure.
So we're both not feeling it.
Yep, sorry to say. I guess that raptor's not too. And honestly, if I were a velociraptor, I would also not be feeling it after the raptor treatment in this movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
The raptor's coolest scene is basically under mind control.
Yeah, like there were raptors in this movie, right?
Yeah, the best scene is raptors, I think.
Yeah. This has a best scene.
Well, why don't you go ahead?
So I don't like this movie. And it's really weird, but it's kind of for the same reasons as BVS.
Oh, okay.
My worst thing is this movie is just stupid. And I know I said that for BVS too, but this movie is just dumb and some things just don't make sense, and it's like I have a whole I have like a long list of bad things, and they're all about like basically how this movie is stupid. Um, like
But don't you
this.
think sometimes a stupid movie can be fun?
Yeah, but this one isn't.
And you didn't think it was. Okay.
I think it's too fun. I think it's trying to be too fun, and it just
Just
ends
the
up not
execution's
being.
not there? Okay.
Yeah, like it's. I'm just gonna say it's too cartoony. Like it was funny in Jurassic House, but they just do that kind of thing too much in this movie. I feel like like my best thing is this movie did make me laugh a few times.
Yeah.
Um,
But did it make you laugh intentionally? I mean, did you laugh sometimes
I
when you were
don't.
supposed to laugh, or were you laughing at it, do you think?
I think I was laughing both.
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
I think it was both. The script makes no sense. There are a few like lines that they're just saying words, and it doesn't.
Doesn't feel like they're talking about anything?
Yeah, they're like it doesn't make any sense. And then the movie is kind of directed weird. Like the camera shots are like a little weird at places.
Okay.
And they turned Alan Grant into Indiana Jones. Like he even goes back to try to get his hat. Like he's literally Indiana Jones.
So like a really absent-minded Indiana Jones who's kind of
Yeah.
not sure where he is most of the time, and
Yeah. And they do a lot of like drama with like these characters, and like I don't care about most of these characters. Like I basically most of the Jurassic World characters I don't really care about, and they just use them too much. I don't know. like what's her face? The one,
What, Claire?
yeah, Claire. No, no,
Maisie?
Maisie. Yeah, I like. I don't care. She's she and like is she more whiny now that she's 14?
Yes, definitely.
Like yeah,
And the movie plays it like that's warranted because of the things she's going through and because of her age. And yeah, it's hormones combined with running away from people who are after her and with not being sure about her identity and if she even counts as a person because she's a clone. We'll get into that in spoilers a little bit later.
yeah,
But it's written kind of trite,
yeah.
certainly. And again,
And
not in necessarily a real fun way. Like I'm gonna seem like a total hypocrite with some of my criticisms with this movie, and it's gonna be very difficult not to come off that way.
mhm,
But a lot of the things that I praised is not the right word, but that I enjoyed Jurassic House for,
yeah,
Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, are things that this movie also does, but not in the kind of endearing way that I thought that movie had. Like the big difference, I'll just say this real quick because every time I agree with you, I feel like I'm looking like, well, you like that in Jurassic House? Why didn't you like it here? Um, it felt more endearing there. It felt like Trevorrow and everybody involved weren't like thought they were making something a lot more serious and relevant and that mattered more, and that it wasn't as insane as it was, and like they were making this kind of like really artistic piece, especially with all the kind of art house directing kind of stuff in that third act. All the, if you can call it third act, the in the, I guess it kind of has that structure, but in the climax with that movie, all the kind of artsy fartsy stuff, this was like, that movie was kind of fun because it was trying too hard. This movie feels like in some ways it's not trying uh hard enough.
mhm,
It's difficult to explain what exactly. I'm having a hard time putting my finger on what exactly this movie is doing, uh,
yeah.
or what exactly it thinks it's doing. But like it's, I say, not trying hard enough. Like it's
I think it's trying too much.
with some things, yeah. I don't know. It's difficult to articulate, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. Okay. So, despite all the bad things, at least this movie, like, it's 2.5 hours, but it doesn't feel that long.
Ooh, I didn't have that. I thought it felt really long.
So, okay, it doesn't feel long for the first 2 hours. I feel like, and
Yeah,
then it like you think it's gonna like it ended, and I'm like, yay, it ended, and then there's more.
yeah.
Like, cause like they get Maisie back, and then there's a whole like hour left.
We're not in spoilers quite yet, but
But like whatever. Yeah.
so best thing is what?
It made me laugh a few
It made
times.
you laugh a few
Yeah.
times. Okay, all right. Um, okay, so like I said, I was real checked out through a lot of this. This is one of those movies where I walked out kind of feeling like I almost don't want to even dignify this with a review. I hate saying that. Um, when I say it wasn't trying hard enough, I mean I'm kind of fixated on that because I'm like, am I even right about that? In All I can really do is compare this to the last one. That movie is bad, and it's like the most fun bad movie I had seen in a long time. I don't know that this is gonna hurt that for me moving forward. Where I'm like, can I go back to Jurassic House after this? Because what's weird about that movie is, like I said, it felt like it was kind of there just to get to this status quo. And when I say they're not trying hard enough, I mean in a couple ways. First of all, we just don't have any fun with the status quo. We end up in, without spoiling things yet, pretty much the exact same place status quo wise at the end of the movie that we were in the beginning.
Yeah.
If you've seen Jurassic House, you kind of know where we're at. That's it. And that was super disappointing to me.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is, everybody feels wildly out of character. and like the returning characters. Um, Ellie Sadler maybe the least of the three, but like
Yeah.
Ian Malcolm is just a walking meme now. He says some funny things, and Jeff Goldblum is just being his crazy, older Jeff Goldblum self, and he's fun when he's on screen. But when you say there's a lot of writing where people don't seem to be like dialogue exchanges don't follow, and people don't seem to be saying anything, he has some of those lines.
Yeah.
uh, I guess everybody has a little bit of that here and there. And yeah, I said that with Jurassic House too. Like one of the things, everything I thought was really funny and amusing with that movie, um, is the stuff that isn't working at all here.
Yeah.
And I'm not like having fun and laughing at it with like how absurd it is now. Now I'm just kind of, the novelty of that has gone away, and it is still as absurd as that was, and the most fun I have with it is with particular action scenes kind of just out of context.
Mhm.
But the actual story itself in some ways doesn't go crazy enough. Like the actual story is weirdly kind of safe. It's like it feels like almost an interlude thing where we come in and we have a really standard kind of anti-corporate messaging movie that's really heavy-handed. And again, there's that heavy-handed stuff in that second one too, but it just feels like a B movie, and it's easier to laugh at. And with this, it's like I've seen the evil corporate CEO that's this movie like 6 billion times, and we're not doing anything with like that was kind of set up where that somebody's going to get their hands on the embryos from the last movie and run with it and do something. But for 2 movies, we were setting up silly, crazy stuff with the government using dinosaurs for military application.
Yeah.
And then this movie doesn't do anything with that at all. We bring the guns back from Jurassic House and use them in as stupid or stupider of ways as we did in that.
Yeah.
With this hilarious like mustache twirling woman who points it at people when she could just use a gun, and
Yeah.
it's that stuff's kind of funny. Um,
Wasn't there a whole thing with tasers or something? I didn't
yes,
remember. Yeah.
yes, but but I thought this movie was supposed to be about exploring what it would be like for dinosaurs and humans to have to live together, and to ask the question, like, can they coexist?
Yeah.
And do that in as bombastic and goofy a way as you want. The first 5 minutes of this is almost my best thing, because it opens and it's already just off the rails, and I'm like, all right, here we go. Like we're right back to what I was really enjoying about that first movie, with minor spoilers with the news broadcast, like right at the beginning. Here's what's been happening for the last 4 years, 3 years, whatever it's been, and dinosaurs and humans are trying to coexist, and here's all the like poachers and like bad actors that are trying to use dinosaurs for their own ends, and there's a dinosaur underground and all this real fun crazy stuff. And then the whole thing just degenerates into, again, what feels like an interlude plot with an evil corporation that decides to use not dinosaurs, but the DNA, the genetic engineering from Jurassic Park, in order to send giant, uh, extinct locusts after um, after farms, so that they'll be the only player in town that can grow anything. And there's some really obvious, really obvious environmental message there. And maybe we could have done something kind of interesting with that, but it just felt so typical and obvious and been there and done that. And story wise, we weren't having any fun with the dinosaurs. So, in order to make up for that, especially as you said in the last half hour, it degenerates into set piece after set piece after set piece of just dinosaurs chasing us, dinosaurs attacking us.
Yeah.
And I got really numb by that. I
Yeah.
got to a place where it didn't matter how crazy it got. I got really bored with it.
Yeah.
We stopped even pretending like we were telling any story at some point.
Yeah. It just didn't it didn't work.
I didn't get bored watching that second movie.
Yeah.
I know some people did. I know a lot of the people. Pardon me. I know a lot of things that I'm complaining about with this movie are things people have with that second one. It's all a taste issue. I'm realizing, and I mean, I think I knew that already. Like, I got why people hated that second movie, and it was just silly and weird and crazy enough. There was. It goes off the rails in such a like 90-degree, blew my mind, shocking kind of way after Jurassic World that I couldn't help but be enamored with it. I was like, how does this get made? It felt like Gotham.
Yeah.
And it was just this like insane and not black comedy like Gotham, but it just felt like this really bizarre like like over the top piece that I couldn't decide if it knew how nuts it was.
Yeah.
And then going into this one, like we were there already. So it needed to either continue that trajectory but be kind of creative with it. Or it needed to get kind of sober again, which I really didn't expect Trevorrow to pull off, and then it
Yeah.
doesn't. Anyway, so best thing, worst thing. My my best thing is the raptor chase. I think that's the most the best choreography in the movie.
Yeah.
It's the most fun kind of thrill ride sort of scene. I got tired of the ride, like I said. Like by the end, I was like, I want to get off.
Yeah.
Like you just keep making me get off one roller coaster and get on another one. Like I got really
Are
tired
you
of
are you
that.
talking about the chase with the horses?
No,
Or
although
that was
that was pretty
hilarious.
hilarious. Yeah. No, I'm talking about the motorcycle chase. Through
Yeah.
the European city. I thought that was pretty great
Yeah.
for the most part. Although, again, minor spoilers. I didn't like that the Raptors. This is just me loving Raptors and being kind of a fan of Raptors. I didn't feel like I got to see Raptors like be clever and have their like be ahead of the game and be like scary creeping around doors and stuff. It was just they were just kind of turned into monsters
Yeah.
again, where it was like somebody points and shoots and then they're kind of forced to run after what they're running after. So it felt more like watching robots. You know what I'm saying? Robert Wild puts in a $5 super chat. Thanks so much. Dotson, we got Dotson here. See, nobody cares. That's my review. Yeah, we'll get into that. The evil CEO is Dotson from the first movie. We're doing this whole thing again. I feel like Halloween Kills, where we got to go back and grab characters that were on screen for like 6 seconds and make a whole movie about them and or whole scenes about them and like I mean Dotson had a scene, but I'm thinking with Halloween Kills, we take a character that you don't even remember that was there for like 5 seconds and go, we don't have anything else to go to left from this franchise, so let's just go find like somebody that was there so we can go look continuity. And again, you can make anything work. There's a part of me that thinks that I could have found that like surprisingly interesting if that character wasn't so simplistic and one-dimensional and like an obvious allegory for other the current CEOs, where it's like, okay, he's Jeff Bezos or he's um I don't know, like insert anybody. And it's okay to do stories about characters that remind us of those people and do that kind of social commentary. It's just really, really obvious and heavy-handed and
Yeah.
not interesting to me.
And they cast somebody different because the guy who played the original like went to jail or something.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what.
Now it's the dad from the Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah.
That was the villain. Yeah. My worst thing is, and I guess I should say broadly, the best thing is just there is some fun action, and when the dinosaurs are practical, they look great. There
Yeah.
are some places where they look wonderful. And apparently, this is the most practical dinosaur footage that we've had in this franchise, in the Jurassic World franchise. It's also to be noted that it's the longest of them, so it easily could have the most CG as well. I don't know. But because it's long, it's 2.5 hours. It does not warrant that. By the end of the movie, I was like, we have way too many characters all on screen. We kind of shoehorned in the original characters. I will say, I appreciate that They don't come in and they're just cameos like in Ghostbusters. They are the supporting cast, certainly. And they're even less cameo-y than the other Spider-Men in No Way Home. Because they're there from the beginning. I mean,
Yeah.
like we can argue about whether it makes sense to bring them in for this particular story. And because I feel like it could kind of be anybody with Grant and Sadler.
Yeah.
But anyway, no, my worst thing is dialogue, hands down. This was Discovery Picard dialogue.
Really?
And this is becoming very mainstream and okay now, and it bothers me. Yeah, just like you said, too many scenes where I'm like, I don't know what that means. What are you saying? What is half the stuff that the pilot says? Like, I don't know what she's talking
Yeah.
about half the time.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, I flipped my sign red. I'm not feeling it. You want to get into some spoiler stuff?
Yeah.
We've already been talking for 25 minutes somehow. Um, okay, why don't you get us started with whatever wherever you want to begin. We'll do just a
Um
let's talk about kind of the biggest most major spoiler things that so spoilers right now. If you've not seen the movie and you want to see it before you hear us talk about any specifics, make sure and do that before you finish this video.
my biggest spoiler problem is why the heck did they get Dodson to play the main antagonist? Like no one cares.
Yeah, it's because so here's what's really weird about it. Trevorrow made a big deal out of this being the closest in tone of these to the original, and it's not. And I don't know what he's talking about. And that's in the same breath as he's like he says a
What?
lot of silly things. I mean, he also said that he wanted the Gigantosaur to be like the Joker, where he just wants to see the world burn.
What
Yeah,
is that? What?
we kind of need to or maybe she, I really don't know at this point. We really need to stop it with the dinosaur motivations.
Yeah. I think it was kind of funny where like everyone from the original was like, "Wait, you're friends with a dinosaur?" I think that joke went on for for too long,
Oh
but
yes,
it was kind of funny
it
like
it
the first
sure
time.
did. Yeah. But yeah, he said that it's supposed to be the most close in tone to the original. In the same breath as he said, I want it to be like I want it to be a spy thriller, like like a Jason Bourne movie or a James Bond. And
Which it is.
and I thought that the whole way. I was like, why did we turn this into a spy thriller? It's like the espionage stuff in the first movie is background. It's how you get the ball rolling, and there is a little bit of intrigue in Jurassic Park. Absolutely. And again, I don't mean to say that you have to make the exact same movie again. One thing I will credit it with is that it really didn't do that. There are some irritating callbacks and like trying to tug at your heartstrings a little bit with nostalgia, but that is few
Yeah.
and far between, and it's not the whole movie.
Yeah, that I like that it doesn't have too many callbacks like stuff like Ghostbusters and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And
And
well,
No Way Home, yeah, I can't. And I don't think that that movie is as bad about that as some folks do, but
yeah.
it is a little egregious. I don't know why Dodgson has the Barbasol can.
How did why
How did he
why
get
does
that? The
he
Dennis
have
Nedry
that?
yeah. Maybe he had lots of them. Maybe he,
But there's one can
yeah.
on a shelf.
And it's got the same markings on it, like it got messed up the same
Yeah,
way that the one that Nedry had when he died did. And then,
yeah,
of course, he has to die the same way Nedry did. Everybody's complaining about that, like how insanely contrived that is. And I guess that's just what this universe does to you if you go too far with human hubris in uh, trying to wield genetic power, as
yeah.
Ian Malcolm says. It kills you with Dilophosaurs. That's what
Yes.
the universe does. Keep in mind, though, we've not seen a Dilophosaur in this franchise since that first movie. And they're
Yep.
back in full force here because we got Dodgson.
Yeah.
So, this movie should be called Jurassic World, and it should be about the fact that it is now a Jurassic World. And I always thought that it was
I was not expecting that.
I always thought it was super cool that you have a movie about a real working theme park, which I always wanted to get to see, and we finally saw, for better or worse, with Jurassic World. And then that title becomes it morphs as the series goes on, and it becomes what if the world really was Jurassic, in that the dinosaurs take over, or the dinosaurs get out and we have to find a way to live with them. And the second movie is supposed to be the transition thing that gets us there. And like I said earlier, this movie is just kind of spinning its wheels until you get to the end, and it's making a big deal out of what it did in the first movie, except now there's just more dinosaurs around, and some of it I understand why they're there and some of it I don't. Like the end of the last movie was, oh man, they're alive like me, and then we let Maisie lets all the dinosaurs out of the pen, and then okay, there's like 15 dinosaurs in the world. Oh no, we got to figure out how we're all gonna cohabitate with the dinosaurs. And then, well, I guess there was also some embryos, so an evil company like Biosyn, which by the way was a big thing in the novel that had not been used until now finally, and Dodgson worked for them, so that's why it's Dodgson. That again, that could kind of work maybe, but I don't know how he rose all the way up in the ranks.
And I know he was in the Lost World book too, but I never read the book.
And I've still not finished that book. I started it at one point, but it's rough, and he didn't want to write it, but I'll finish it at some point.
In like 20 years, are they gonna make a new series called set in California called Jurassic Land?
I don't know. I'm sure this isn't the end of this.
Where
this
it's movie like is doing really well. Version.
They're making a big deal out of how it's the end of the story that began in Jurassic Park. Yeah, the story that began in Jurassic Park was finished in Jurassic Park. But which is funny because Trevor also makes a big deal out of how those were episodic and his series is serialized. But they're talking about it like it's one big franchise. Anyway, I'm jumping around all over the place. The point I was trying to make a minute ago is that some of the new dinosaurs and why there's so many around the world makes sense. You didn't really need a live like me for some of that to happen, because like Biosyn just goes back to the island and to I guess both of them, to Nublar and Sorna, and gets dinosaurs from there, and then starts genetically working on their own, and they get Wu, but that could have. What I'm saying is this movie easily could have been the second movie.
Yeah.
Like really easily, and or it could have just not happened at all, and we'd again be in the exact same place by the end.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then I just feel like a lot of what ends up happening happens because of the volcano and because of the initial theme park being shut down, before it's because of what happens at the end of the last movie.
Yeah.
It just didn't really matter that much. So anyway, first movie is Jurassic World. Second movie is Jurassic House. This movie I'm going to call Jurassic Plague. Sounds pretty good. It has a P at the end like Jurassic Park. This is Jurassic Plague. Robert Wild and I have been talking back and forth about this a little bit, and he was calling it Jurassic Locust. And yes, there are giant locusts, and that stuff is no fun at all. And we don't even go far enough with the plague idea, but the way it plays for a minute, and especially when we do the rain of fire thing with it, is that humanity is being punished as if by God. It's not biblical. We don't go to a celestial place. But it feels like that, where it's like some of these like biblical level plagues are playing out because we went way too far in trying to play God. And now that the dinosaurs are in the world cannot have that. And like we're already coming close to destroying the world's food chain because of what Biosyn is doing. And then beyond that, you just have all these people trying to do things for their own personal financial gain related to dinosaurs.
Yes.
And so the nature is fighting back, and nature through the genetic manipulation that we caused, right?
Yeah.
Well, you get the locusts, and then way later in the movie, a bunch of them get set on fire, and then they fly around and they start raining fire from above. And I'm like, well, if you're gonna go that far, why not just contrive a bunch of other things? Why don't you come up with a way to have like a river of fire and uh, you
Yeah.
know, you know, uh, 30 Days of Darkness and like any other kind of plague that you can think of from biblical or other ancient source material.
Yeah.
Um, I think we could have been more creative, even as bombastic and as stupid as you said, as this movie is,
Mm-hmm.
with that stuff. And it's like, just make it about uh, dinosaurs and humans living together. That's what the end of the last movie sets up. That's what the beginning of this movie promises it is. That's the contract it makes with the audience. It's
Yeah.
not that. And then you get to the end of the movie, and it's like, okay, now finally, we've got even more dinosaurs just wandering around with people, and we're not going to have any fun with that at all, and we're not going to have any, and I'm not expecting anything super thoughtful from this, but there's a chance of some thoughtful exploration. And Trevorrow said years ago this is what it was supposed to be about, some thoughtful exploration about cohabitation and whether or not that's even possible. We just totally sidestep it,
Yeah.
and we don't do anything fun with the original characters really.
No.
Like, why did it have to be them with the, like, I guess with the locust that falls a little bit in the Sadler's purview, maybe because she deals with like plants and things.
Yeah. But like, yeah, and then
But it easily
okay,
could have been anybody else.
I really wanted to see them do in some movie do anything from Lost World or 3. Like bring anyone back.
There was talk about bringing back Ian Malcolm's daughter from 2, and they decided they had
Yeah.
enough characters, and boy do they have enough characters.
Yeah.
One of the most preposterous things to me was just watching like a line of 11 people all together running away from dinosaurs over and over and over again.
Yeah.
That got really silly. Anyway, so what other major plot elements do you want to cover real
Uh
quick of preposterousness?
Maisie being born.
Okay, so Maisie's whole being cloned thing is totally retconned. It's as if Trevorrow heard the complaints from people like me. I'm not saying me personally, but armchair critics like me on the internet
Like
going
me.
like me, going, hey, why is it that big of a deal that she was cloned? Because that's already a thing we can do. It's not legal, but like cloning human beings, not really that impressive. There's already a lot of science that suggests that we can do that already. So then they're like, okay, well we got to find a way to make it crazier and a bigger deal and make her more important. Instead of just writing her out, or just having her hanging out with her newly adopted parents and not being all that integral to the
Which is the
story.
plot of the movie,
Yeah,
though.
she became the MacGuffin of the film. Well, she and Blue's daughter together. So what we did was we basically because I was talking to Robert about this earlier, and he was like, "Hey, they made her Anakin Skywalker," is what he said, because now she's like the key to everything, and she's a and she was born by immaculate conception, but genetically, because her mother is, if I understand it right, through. By the way, genetic science in this is really easy.
Yeah.
It's just really, really, really simple. Apparently, uh, she figured out a way to reproduce asexually, if I understand it, and had Maisie by herself. So Maisie is not a clone. She is exactly the same genetically as her mother because she reproduced asexually. And
Guess
then her
kind of
mother was a and then her mother was able to find a way to make it, because finds a way found a way to make it so that she didn't have the same ailment that was about to kill her mother,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
So something something Wu thinks that he can take her DNA and the raptor DNA from Blue, because Blue is that technology before it gets changed by Maisie's mother, because she also reproduced asexually,
A
and
lot of
because
constituents. I don't know. I don't remember.
I'm
how
not even
to
gonna
say
tell you. I'm gonna let that just be the word now. And so through the same technology, like using the same DNA from an animal. What was it? Was it? It wasn't frog DNA again. It
No, it
was
was
some. It
lizard.
was a lizard DNA.
Yeah.
There are lizards that can reproduce asexually. So Maisie's mother did it, and Blue did it. And if you put those two together, you can kill a bunch of locusts.
What a coincidence!
So the idea. Oh,
Why?
I wanted it to be the other word again.
Why?
The non-word.
Why does he think that?
So the idea is it's so ludicrous. It's so contrived. So the idea is supposed to be, I guess, that Maisie's mother eradicated the illness that was in her daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how she cured her. And whatever it was that's in her, combined with Blue's DNA, which doesn't have it, lets you not just cure things in anybody else's bodies, which kind of like the triple blood in Star Trek Into Darkness, we just totally forget about by the end of the movie, and we hand wave that away. You have this girl walking around that's basically maybe not the fountain of youth, but the cure to everything. And nobody's talking about it at the end. There's not any worry that somebody might try to capture her, because if they found that out, or maybe we should actually take her to more responsible scientists or people in the government and go, I don't know if this is what you should do, but maybe you should have a conversation about it and go, we could cure a lot of illnesses now. Maybe we should do that. But anyway, somehow that lets you kill a swarm of locusts, because they're like networked diseases in the
like
body.
Me.
It's insane.
Yeah.
It's really stupid.
I don't even. It doesn't. I was just trying to figure that out, how that would make sense, and it doesn't.
No. I don't believe it does.
Why would the fact that there are two different creatures on Earth that were born asexually, how does that make it okay for
I can't decide which is I can't decide which is sillier, that we use that to kill a bunch of locusts, or that we retconned the cloning thing to her mother reproduced asexually. That's hilarious. Like I said, Robert said she's Anakin Skywalker. She's also Rey.
Mm-hmm.
Because of just the retconning that we did with that character.
Yeah.
Where you have to come back later and say, oh no, it's this other thing, because either we don't know what to do with that, or we're trying to keep her relevant.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a lot of really counterintuitive in this movie.
Yeah, I don't. There's just too much. What just happened, and things move too quick, so you can't process what happened in the last scene, and I loved. You know what my favorite scene was? 30 seconds of Claire just walking into water, just crawling into water. That happened for 20
in a movie that's paced better, where maybe I kind of half care about that character, and I haven't already seen 50 other ostensibly sequences that might have been cool. If you sold the movie on that, if that was the trailer, where she's in water, and you have that kind of cool shot actually, where the camera's half in the water and half out, and you have the dinosaur above her coming down, and she's in the water. you sell the movie on that, and I'm like, that's neat. I'm there. Uh,
This if this
but
movie
after but after the 2 hours I've just watched, I'm checked out, man. And now it feels a lot sillier than it would have in a different context.
and it's just too long.
Yeah. Why don't you read me some comments,
But
Jason?
like if this movie was Doctor Strange too, like I would have been fine with that because
Just a dinosaur suddenly comes out of nowhere and is trying
well
to
no
attack
but
Doctor
like
Strange in the water
yeah
in a swamp.
Robert Wilde.
Yeah. Hi,
Ah,
Robert. Yes.
what did you think of the opening logo? Jurassic House and this completely change up how Jurassic Park opening titles go, and it's so jarring.
It is. Well, this movie doesn't seem like it has a title. That's the thing that Connor kept making fun of with this.
I thought
Uh,
Austin was too.
it opened, yeah, but it started with Connor just constantly going, does this movie have a title?
Hmm?
Yeah, it opens and it's got a theme that's not the Jurassic Park theme, and I don't think even one of the Jurassic House themes
No.
or the Jurassic World themes, or maybe it's just slowed down enough that I can't tell what it's supposed to be. By the way, we had one of Giacchino's best scores ever this year with the Batman. This is one of his worst scores ever, and he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
There's this weird thing, this weird pattern I'm noticing where sometimes, or maybe often, when a franchise is really kind of um, hit a wall and it's been played out, and now we're just kind of like spinning our wheels and cycling so that we can keep getting some money from it. Uh, the only person involved sometimes that feels like they realize this is the composer,
Hmm.
and they're like as checked out as I am. And we'll get into a place where this isn't wholly. I feel like sometimes you can tell that you're in for a not very good franchise movie or episode of television if you get the first like 5 or 6 notes of the theme and then it trails off.
Yeah.
If it goes like da 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 and that's it,
Yeah.
that's gonna be a bad movie.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
This soundtrack, I'm looking at the soundtrack,
Yeah.
and the names of some of these songs are so bad. So that song that you were talking about is
Yeah.
called Jurassic Logos.
Giacchino has I should say this, he has a track record of punny and silly titles for his tracks on his soundtracks. So
Yeah.
he did this with Star Trek '09.
Oh, really?
There's a track on the Star Trek '09 soundtrack called Name the Kelvin.
Yeah, there's a bias and we will go.
This is how he names
You're
things.
making me feel woozy.
Yeah.
Upsy Maisie. Wooing for Redemption. Like,
Yeah, and see, that stuff was just sappy in the wrong way. Like,
yeah.
Jurassic House degenerates into sap by the end. And before that, it's just nuts. But here, we've got, again, that like new track level of just constant social, not social, constant like plats. We're actually talking profound in some way. It's again, it's really overwritten. The pilot. I'm so sick of these kind of characters where you'll get like the really you'll get the really spunky lady with attitude who like comes in and is almost like the not the comic relief, but like she is really unmemorable and has the pilot girl, and she just has all these baffling lines. Like there's this part. She's talking to Owen, and she's like, and I forget what Owen says, but he says something about her working at Biosin. And she's gonna take that the way you meant it, not the way it came out. I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? Lines like that, just over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Do you not think that that Sam Neill has either forgotten how to play Alan Grant or knows how bad the movie is and really wishes he hadn't signed on. One of these two things is happening. Like, he's sleepwalking through this movie. He's being yanked through the thing by a mime holding an invisible rope
Yeah.
just through the whole movie. Um, it is very strange to me that you have as many moments where I don't understand what's going on.
Yeah.
And I go, huh? What? And another character says the same thing I'm saying.
Yeah.
Grant, no fewer than 3 times in the movie that overhead,
That does not make any
and
sense.
he goes, what? Hey, just like that. What? And I'm like, is that an ad lib? Is that Sam Neill like embarrassed for the material, wishing he wasn't there?
Yeah. He's like, what is the script?
Who walked into this movie going, man, I sure hope that Sadler and Grant together by the end. Like, they haven't been in movies for years together. Why couldn't they have just come in together? Like, why is that their story?
Yeah.
You know, we're pushing 60. Now we're going to get married.
Yeah.
Like, I think they were trying to do some kind of clever parallel thing where it's like Owen and what's her face, Claire, or the new Sadler and Grant, and we finally let them get together.
Yeah.
And that doesn't full on happen at the end of the last movie. Easily they could have come into this not being together, but they are. Mercer Create, you're right. Orville New Horizons does rock. That doesn't have anything to do with what we're talking about. I have seen the first 2 episodes and it's stellar. No pun intended. What else are we seeing in the comments? Apparently we're real choppy there for a minute.
Is really choppy.
Hopefully people can hear us now.
Yeah.
I agree. Some of Giacchino's MCU scores are not the best. Senior Stick, she's not part dinosaur. That's the thing, is just, if it had to stay absurd and crazy, why couldn't it have been like a more fun brand of it? Why couldn't it have just kept going in that bizarre direction? You get to the end of this, the whole movie feels superfluous. I couldn't believe that.
Yeah. Oh,
Robert Wilde was like, he told me earlier today, he was like, I didn't necessarily want to see any of the like legacy characters die, but it's weird how little death is in this movie.
Yeah.
Like, everybody makes it at the end. And it kind of makes the dinosaurs, or at least all the major characters, like, because
all the main protagonists.
he said it's weirdly bloodless and feels kind of safe, and he's right. And you see both his arms eaten off at the same time by 2 different dinosaurs, and somehow nothing was especially I don't know, maybe I wasn't so much with House either because I was laughing at it so much, but like I said, this was different. Like,
Yeah.
out of context, I could have seen some scenes kind of feeling that way. Why did Lockwood and Hammond have? I don't know. Also, Charlotte was alive when he died. How did Lockwood create this lie? It makes no sense. Yeah, it's just because so that they could have this hackneyed plot, and I can't decide. Obviously, working with its whiteboards, but I can't decide from which conclusion. We've got this whole locust plot where I get it exactly right. The whole idea is supposed to be Hammond thought he could control the dinosaurs. He couldn't. Ian Malcolm was right. Jurassic World, the guy that ran that park realized how small they are in the universe, but they're still trying to control dinosaurs, right? They're still making these like giant hybrids and stuff. And so that didn't work out. And Dodge, who nobody cares about, thinks that he can control giant locusts he made, and that's not going to work out.
No.
So like we can't play God. It's the same thing over and over again, just packed a little bit different. I don't know if there are like new places to take that where it doesn't feel like the same thing over and over again. It feels more than played out. It feels like this never had legs, like I said earlier. But I want to think that that under the right hands, I could be proven wrong with that. It's sort of like Terminator, where it's like, oh, Terminator, there was never anywhere to go after that second movie. Well, you might have thought that with the first one, and then we had a sequel that was brilliant
Hmm.
and better, arguably, than the first. Um, just because everything that was rehash and a lot of it was poorly written doesn't necessarily. Yeah, Halloween the same way. Like, could you make good Halloween sequels? I don't know. There hasn't really been very many.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just not sure with this.
Yeah. Um. Yes. Okay.
That's my review. It's
Yeah.
just
Yeah. That was my review. Like walking out of the theater.
almost with the Dutchman thing. I'm sick of ruining cool moments that were just a cool moment. Now, for anybody that's I can't go out and say Dodgson, we got Dodgson. See, nobody cares. Because now when I bring that up, somebody's going to go, "Oh yeah, he was the villain in that." Like, oh God, Dodgson. You see what they did with that guy?
Yeah.
It can't just be a moment anymore. It can't
Yeah.
just be a quote.
Yeah.
Memes need to stay memes, man.
Yeah.
They really do. Memes are ruining films,
Yes.
just in general. And I'm seeing a lot of people now, and I don't mean to be negative and call anybody out or anything. Certainly not anybody in particular, but like I keep seeing just fans on the internet really excited when memes make it into movies. Like, oh, this is for
Yeah.
me because I'm a fan and I like memes. Somebody was paying attention to me. It's like, no, we're relying on that instead of story.
It's like Chip and Dale when they put in Ugly Sonic,
Yeah, and I
or
didn't see that movie. I don't know how that was
yeah,
handled, but
or when they put Shrek in that Netflix show or whatever. Like,
yeah, Robert Wild. I'll at least give this movie credit for not repeating too much from previous movies. I appreciate that
yeah,
too, I suppose. Although there's part of me, and I hesitate saying this, that almost thinks that it had been more cookie cutter and more of a nostalgic trip, it would have at least been structured better.
yeah,
But I don't know which thing I prefer. You know what I mean? I guess I'd rather not be bored. Is my
yeah,
whole thing. Like, certainly, I'm really sick of these just nostalgic trips down memory lane. We don't have anything new to say. So I don't mean, again, I don't mean to be a hypocrite and go the other way and go, this movie's bad because we didn't do that.
yeah.
But I think I disliked it as much as I might have had they done it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Like I really disliked Ghostbusters Afterlife because of that third act.
Yeah.
It's better than this overall as a movie.
Yeah.
Overall.
And my favorite third party video game console is Retcon 5.
Good one. Okay, real quick, because somehow we're at an hour already.
Yes.
Why don't you see if anybody has any other comments that we want to read real quick? I
Yeah.
didn't want to do and I know it's an hour, but for us, that's not, you know, crazy long. We decided to do some spoilers,
Yeah.
but I didn't want to do, 2 hours on that.
Robert Wild, as far as meme bait that worked for me, Malcolm unbuttoning his shirt when he thinks no one is looking generally made me laugh.
Yeah, I will
I
I
yeah,
didn't
me
care for that
too.
because again, it was just that was a meme, so
Yeah.
we got to do that whole thing.
Yeah.
We also kind of have that problem of let's get these characters back together finally, and maybe some people will be excited about that. And then let's put in a really dull or super awkward, cringy scene instead of like actually doing something fun and engaging with them. Again, I'm not back and just repeat all the dialogue or have you remember when scene. I'm glad we don't have that scene where they all stand around and are like, remember when Grant, remember when I fell out of a tree? You remember when I pretended to electrocute myself and then that kid got electrocuted? Remember when I got hurt trying to save you with a flare? Malcolm.
Yeah.
He kind of does that again in this, where he's like he pulls up the flare and he's like, "Hey, hey, dinosaur!"
Except it's funnier because he puts it in his mouth.
Oh,
It's I
is that what he
I
does?
I thought like I kind of sided that and then he threw it in his mouth and I'm like,
So there's a little bit of
yeah,
that,
there's a
but
twist.
when in it's kind of convenient that he's working at Myosin, but at least I buy him in that position a little more than I do like Grant in Sadler. Grant comes out of I guess not retirement, but Do we even buy that he's still digging up dinosaur bones in a world
No,
where there's real dinosaurs?
no.
Where it just seems like I guess to give them credit, he's like, we can't get any funding anymore.
Yeah.
So I mean that makes sense, but it's just like he's been doing that forever. I don't know, maybe.
Austin says
Yeah.
Jurassic Park 3 is definitely the best sequel.
See, I'm hearing a lot of that, and I'm just a lone wolf on this. I know that hardly anybody agrees with me. I like Jurassic World, okay.
Yeah?
It's got issues. Obviously, it ain't perfect. It's too bombastic with with some of its action, definitely. But I went back and watched that again recently, and
Yeah.
I kind of wish we'd give a little bit more to the sort of sobriety that that movie had, even as much as I. But so I don't know. I
No,
think
I think
Jurassic World might be sort of my favorite. Problem with three for me is it's too short. It's kind of the reverse of
I
this.
think you should watch. I think if you want to watch the Jurassic Park movies, just watch Jurassic Park and Jurassic World. Like,
But when you do that, of course, Jurassic World just watches a soft reboot that is sort of the same movie again. But again, it's so bizarre, right? That
yeah.
Trevorrow's like, this movie is the closest in tone. What is he
No,
talking about?
Jurassic World is.
Yeah,
I mean,
partly
Lost
because
World
it's
is, but
partly because it's the same story to some. I mean,
yeah,
not exactly, which I appreciate,
yeah,
but it's still about a theme park.
yeah. It has sea lion dinosaurs.
And
Jurassic
again,
Park does not.
tonally, it's a little closer.
Yeah.
Again, this just wants to be like an espionage thing,
Hmm.
and maybe you could sell me on going to a totally different genre. Like I've had that with other movies, and it's been okay.
Yeah.
You got to take it somewhere else
Hmm.
if you're not going to have a park anymore, and if
Yeah.
people aren't going to keep trying to build a park,
Yeah.
certainly. But anyway, well, anything else that you're
No.
seeing in the comments there?
No. Uh, Austin says the pterodactyl secret sequence in 3 is the best set piece of any of the sequels.
That's fun. Why does this movie have so many set pieces?
Yeah.
They built 100 sets for this movie. I'm not kidding.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not exaggerating. They built 100 sets for this movie.
Jeez.
It's insane. Busted
Hey.
Sim says ninja dinosaurs. See, that's what this was really missing. Not specifically ninja dinosaurs, but just going hog wild into more of into a more science fiction realm. That's what I was really waiting for with this.
Mm-hmm.
And again, the besides just really poor writing and horrible pacing and new characters that I didn't like at all, I get to the end of this and I'm just like, I don't know why I bothered to show up. You're in the same place,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm baffled by the idea that this was supposed to be a big culmination of everything, and it was supposed to be like a nice send off for everybody and for this franchise.
Yeah.
Like I don't get it. It was a weird interlude story.
Yeah. Hey, at least this movie has better CG than Jurassic Park 3.
You think so?
Well, yeah. Jurassic Park 3 has like the worst CG.
Okay, Jason, I'm gonna put you on the spot. Throw an insane, silly, like out there sci-fi or like almost supernatural thing that you would have loved to have seen in a Jurassic Park movie that decided to keep going in the Jurassic House direction, which is anything goes now. You just go nuts. You just go insane. Anything goes. Just throw something out.
Alien dinosaurs.
Alien dinosaurs.
Yes, alien dinosaurs from a different planet. They come take the dinosaurs away, and then they go on a different planet.
That's great. Making an alien invasion story. You know what's really funny?
Yeah.
Trevorrow watched alien invasion movies in preparation for this. I don't know why.
I don't see the connection.
It's and as much of an espionage thing as it is, it's also a natural disaster movie before it's a monster movie. Did you have that?
Or raptors figure out how to go back in time and they go in the old west and they start shooting guns. You know how they can open doors?
Yes!
They just start shooting guns in the
Clever
old
girl.
west.
And you just get shot in the face? Yeah. That's fantastic. And they've got like the uh, they got the scene where they're like drawn down with a person.
Yeah.
They've got their gun holstered. Got like their little arms, but so the
Yeah.
holster's a little higher, and yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that'd be great. The shootout at the raptor corral, yeah,
Yeah.
that sounds great. Well, this was really disappointing to me,
Yeah.
and I was expecting a bad movie, but I was expecting to be entertained in it. I wasn't.
No.
It was sad. I did enjoy Raptor getting hit by a motorcycle falling out of an airplane
Yes,
and then dropping
that
into
is the
water.
most
That's
convenient
awesome.
thing ever.
What's convenient about it?
Just that, like, he was on the motorcycle and he was
Yeah,
going in it, and
yeah.
then he like jumped out and it hit the wall and it went back and then it hit the
But
raptor.
that was the
Like,
kind of crazy that I wanted, you know? Like the
yeah,
movie is weirdly self-serious, but also in a lot of scenes not serious at all. It's so weird. Like I'm 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 not real articulate in this video because I'm having a hard time even understanding how some of this comes together.
yeah,
Where you've got because you listen again to Trevor talk about it, and he thinks he's making a really important serious movie. And you see the film, and you're like, you're making a cartoon, dude. And like you
yeah.
don't even realize it. And so he's talking about how important it is to be realistic.
Have you
In
ever? Okay, has he seen his
the
own
real
movie?
world.
Have he? Yeah. One, has he seen the real world, and two, has he seen Jurassic House?
So he
His own
goes,
movie.
yeah. So he goes, yeah. That's your movie.
Yeah,
So
like you know that's in your movie too, right?
he goes, you can't just have dinosaurs attacking a big city because that's not realistic. That's not what would happen.
Yeah, but you can all you but you can have a dinosaur run into a pole, like that's normal. That
Well,
happened all the time.
well, what I was gonna say is, like this is the guy that because remember he made all three of these movies. Didn't he make the first one too? This
I think
this is the
I don't know.
guy who has Owen like 6 centimeters from lava in the second movie, and he's fine. And who in this movie we do the opposite, where Claire and the pilot lady are walking across frozen ice, and you're like, they should be really cold right now. I don't know how they're even like
And then
functioning. And then they drop in the water.
Owen drops in the water.
Yeah, and he doesn't get frostbite or anything. Like, look, I'm fine with that kind of movie logic in a like glorified B movie like this, but it has to kind of know what it is with the human stuff and the social stuff.
I mean,
I meant to bring this up earlier before the spoiler section, but that's one of the big things about it. I spent the first half of the movie going, I hate it when people are talking. I'm only enjoying this movie when I am at all. When people are not talking and they're running and there's like big crazy dinosaur action. That's when I'm having any fun with this at all. And then I got to the end and I was like, okay, I'm done with the dinosaur action too. I don't want any more of that either.
yeah. Well, I mean, well, Bond did the freeze, like the ice under ice thing too, right?
But was it that cold? Was he in the freaking Arctic?
I mean, he wasn't in the Arctic, but he was like under like a thing of ice, and then he like jumped down, and the ice cracked, and he.
Darth Bobo, is the Jurassic Park franchise just another Transformers franchise at this point? I feel like these movies make money because of dinosaurs, and Transformers make money because of giant robots. That's exactly right. Yeah, the analysts were shocked that this movie was making as much money as it is. It did what 156 million opening weekend, and Rotten Tomatoes score is like 27%. So like the critics are hating this. But what's funny is a lot of the reviews I'm seeing are well, this is the most interesting and fun of the three, but that's not saying much because it was bad in the first place. And like I'm not there with that. So like
No, it's not even
so like they
interesting.
were already checked out, and this is easily the worst of the three for me. Like Robert was telling me that he thought it was a little better than Jurassic House. I don't agree with that.
No,
Like
no.
even just as a movie,
Jurassic
even
House.
forgetting like that, I enjoy that movie on a so bad it's good kind of level. Even if I'm looking at the two in a more serious way, just going, do they work as pieces? Jurassic House is terrible. It's not this.
I think I like Jurassic House better because this movie is trying to be Jurassic House again.
See, that's what I was kind of worried would happen, where it would try to top itself in the wrong kind of way.
It's just
And
the same movie. It does all the same jokes and like and then they just and I mean and then like you said at the end they're at the exact same
I
place.
just wanted to be kind of creative about it. Like I wanted it to be able to kind of top itself. And if we could have had some of the ridiculous set pieces, but none of the people like trying to be profound,
Yeah.
it might have been okay. I'm just spinning my wheels at this point, just like this franchise. Anyway, well, thanks a lot for watching us talk about Jurassic Plague. That's what I'm calling it. It's Jurassic, but you feel free to have your own name. You don't have to go with mine. But in Jurassic World Dominion is not as bad of a title
As
as Jurassic World
Fallen
Fallen Kingdom. Part of the
Kingdom.
reason I renamed it while talking about it is because I can't say that out loud without doing this. Um, somebody earlier mentioned the. So this movie is 2.5 hours long. There's 15 minutes cut out of it. It's almost 3 hours long.
Really?
And Trevor really wants to put out a director's cut, which I might be able to do because the movie's performing. But there was a 5 minute sequence that I didn't see cut out at the very beginning. It opened differently. It opened apparently with I didn't watch it because I didn't want anything spoiled for me. And then when they said they cut it out, I forgot to go look at it. But apparently the idea was, or apparently what they did, Jason, is it's set in prehistory. They did a 5 minute opening that's 65 million years ago and bookends the Gigantosaur fight with the T Rex. It's supposed to apparently be the T Rex that the one in this movie is cloned from. And so 65 years
What?
later, it gets his revenge on the Gigantosaur.
No. You
But people are saying it's the best scene in the movie, apparently. Isn't that funny?
it's I mean, I haven't seen it, but it's the exact same scene, like just set a few million years later or earlier, and it doesn't and it like makes no sense
And you
that
know
it
what's
even exists.
and you know what's wild? The Gigantosaur. It's basically like the scene that was cut out of the Batman
Yeah.
because the Joker got his big scene in the Batman. They cut it, and the Gigantosaur is supposed to be like the Joker.
Yeah.
Anyway, everybody, thanks a lot once again for watching. We'll see you again with more content soon on the channel. We're on a vacation this week, so we're not doing regular content. Usually on Tuesdays. Today's Tuesday, yeah.
Yes.
Usually on Tuesdays I do a request. But we're not doing that this week because we're out of town, so we're doing this. Thursday night, Jason and I are going to come in and do a special Captain Logan show for you, just the two of us. So feel free to come in and ask us some questions. It's just going to be a regular Ask Me Anything Q&A show. Probably not even going to have a lead-in topic on that show. We're just going to be relaxed, just like this, hanging out with you, and hope that you'll bring something fun for us to talk
And
about.
DJ turned into me.
And he's DJ now, yeah.
I'm DJ now.
And then, if all goes according to plan, I'm going to do a less than usual planned rewind on Sunday, where I'm doing the What If show, and people have, and feel free to still put things in for that in the community tab. There's a post about it. You can leave a what if question about the history of superhero movies, and I'm going to come in and look at a select number of those. Not sure how many yet. I'll probably bring a few myself, and we'll just talk a little bit about how I think and how you guys might think.
I might make some too, but
Oh,
we'll talk
cool.
about
Yeah,
that.
absolutely. We'll talk about how the landscape of superhero film history might look different if certain projects that didn't get made got made, or if certain projects didn't get made, if certain things, if certain actors weren't involved, if certain movies were not as critically acclaimed as they are, etc., etc. And we'll probably go through 10 to 20 of those, and it'll be a fun show.
Yeah.
So that, again, if things go according to plan, should be Sunday night at 10 Central. I'm coming back that day, so that's the tentative plan, and I'll let you know if that doesn't end up working out. But thanks again for watching, folks.
Yeah.
We'll see you again real soon. I was Captain Logan.
And I was Jason.
Bye, folks.
Bye.
Rawr.